3 weeks of testimony, 45 witnesses, and the verdict was read in just under a minute. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 charges by 12 jurors. Now we're bringing in our triad experts to talk about the trial and this breaking news. Steve Friedland teaches evidence law at Elon University School of Law. Ted Shaw is the director of UNC Center for Civil Rights at the UNC School of Law. And Cami Chavez is a professor of law and the director of Wake Forest University's Criminal Justice Program. Ted, I want to start with you. In your opinion, what do you think helped the jury reach this verdict?
Well, I think first what helped the jury reach the verdict is their own eyes, as the prosecutor urged them to not unsee, to believe what they saw with their own eyes, but also the fact that this was videotaped. That also made a huge difference. And I think the country, if not the world, was shocked by the casual nature of the way Officer Chauvin kept his knee on George Floyd's neck for that long period of time. I think it was a hard case for anyone to see, and the jury apparently did not accept all that was thrown up on the wall, the mud that the defense tried to make stick.
And I know that there's lots of thoughts out there. What about you, Cami, Steve? Do you have any thoughts?
I think that as Ted said, the evidence was overwhelming. What we saw, which is unusual, I think it is unusual, we saw a number of police experts, those from the same police department and the chief, testify for the prosecution that this was against policy, where they were never trained on it. And so that was extremely powerful. And of course, the video was powerful, but I want to caution everyone, we've seen video of egregious police beatings and shootings before, but it is significant that we have a conviction today.
Yeah, when someone's own boss says that they broke policy, that does stick with people.
And I would also throw out just one other thing. It's not only what Chauvin did, but what he didn't do. After it was clear that George Floyd was in distress, he did nothing to help him. No assistance whatsoever, did not call anybody, and that's egregious in and of itself.
Hey, Steve, I've got another question for you. Right after the verdict was read, the judge said that they have a week to file papers based on the Blakely factors. What is that, and could it impact this verdict?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
The judge talked about how the defense has a week to file factors based on the Blakely factors. What is that, and could it impact the verdict?
Well, the judge can sentence based on what the jury finds as facts. So the question is what the jury is really finding as facts. And what we have in sentencing is called sentencing guidelines. That's controlled discretion. So the judge will have some discretion in how to sentence Derek Chauvin, but there are uniform guidelines that try to control that discretion. So the judge is really asking for input now on how to approach sentencing, which will occur in the next month or two.
So speaking of the judge, Cami, the judge decided to actually sequester the jury when they were deliberating, but not during the trial itself. Is that something that might come up on appeal?
I don't think so. I think that sequestering the jury made sense. This was a really high profile case, and not sequestering them for the time period during the trial, but once they were deliberating, they haven't even been allowed to talk to each other about the case, and so I think that it was appropriate in this case.
Ted, he's been found guilty on all 3 charges. Now, each of those charges has a maximum penalty, but will they be stacked up together, or do they just take the maximum charge?
I think the lesser convictions are going to be merged into the most serious conviction, and it's likely that that's what the defendant is going to face. And I also want to say that in spite of the conviction here, this is a first-time offender. And so I don't think we're going to be looking at the longest sentence that's possible here. It's more likely it'll be a lesser sentence.
And it's going to take up to 8 weeks to get the sentencing done. Can someone explain to us, maybe Cammie, why that will take so long?
Well, this is, there's going to be there's a court schedule, and so it will be scheduled. But you also heard the judge say that he'll have a PSI report. So someone from the probation pretrial services will sit with Chauvin, and we'll get a workup of him and decide what's appropriate. Is this a person who's likely to reoffend? Of course, he won't be in the same situation, but we'll really try to get a profile of him to determine what sentencing is appropriate. And that may also include interviewing other people and other people that know him.
So, Steve, in other cases, we've heard witnesses come forward in the sentencing factor and testify to people's character. Are we likely to see that here, or you think the judge has everything he needs to know?
Well, as Cammie said, a pre-sentence investigative report's going to be filed. So they want a complete story, but it's going to be controlled discretion. And Minnesota has its own rules on how to approach this. They're going to follow those rules and do it in a uniform way. They're going to try not to treat Derek Chauvin differently than other defendants convicted of second-degree murder in Minnesota. But the 12.5 years is just a presumptive sentence. The judge can go higher or lower, and there's probably a good chance the judge might go higher, but we don't know.
Well, thank you all so much. Lots of questions still out there that we're seeing on social media. We're going to answer more of them right after this.